Got a cash one for you guys. Oh, oh! You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good?
I was hitting the basket.
You all right?
Yeah.
All right, guys, now let's check out the finishing stretch out here at Nevin. All right, hole 10, par 3, uphill. It's 333 feet. It plays more like 400 feet, I would say, just because of the elevation gain and the fact your disc is going nose up. It's hard to get that distance. And I'm gonna go with 2 felons. These are the discs that I threw a lot last year. I leaned on them a lot just because they got them nice hyzer flip glide to them, which a lot of these shots require. And that's kind of what I'm gonna do here. Throw just kind of a flippier right after I beat up felon, and just pop it through there with hyzer and let the the understability of this disc kind of flip up. I'm in the middle. Hit 2 trees. I'm in the middle at least. I just pulled that one a little bit, so I want to kind of start a little bit more down the left-hand side. There we go. That's better. So that should be way better. Yeah, that should be about a circle's edge, probably 20-footer. Yeah, just made the adjustment from the first one to the second one. All right, here's my drive. It's pretty, as you saw how uphill it was. I threw this thing probably on flat ground, probably would have went like 380 to 400 feet. And this hole's only 330 and I'm still 40 feet short. So it tells you how far uphill this shot is. Whoops. Dang, the right side doesn't like my putt. But yeah, I've got the yellow's a little bit more stable. This red one, as you saw, it kind of flipped down the right-hand side. Stable and flippy for my hyzer flip tunnel shots out here at Nevin. All right, we got hole 11. We got a 375-foot par 3, gradually downhill the entire way to a humongous drop-off. So you want to ideally try to throw it inside the circle to give yourself a putt, because you ain't going to be making any circle 2 putts from here unless you're a maniac. But yeah, it's all about the drive. So let's see if I can't dial it in. I'm gonna be throwing my good old faithful purple dagger and a beat up harp. So I'm gonna go with the dagger first. And yeah, just trying to ride this left side with this flippy disc and kind of ride it down the gap and then turn right. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about envisioning happening with my shot. Yeah, that's should be. That might be a little short, but that shot shape is kind of what I'm looking for. Try that again. So that one was pretty good. It just drifted a tiny little bit too much right and it clipped one of the edge trees. If it just gets through, I probably got a circle's edge putt, but that's the tricky part about this hole. All right, here's my first drive with a dagger. Obviously a little bit short right, not ideal at all. Outside circle 2. And not where I'm looking for. In the tournament, I'd probably lay up, but for now, I want to try to cash one for you guys. Oh, oh! You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good?
I was hitting the basket.
You all right?
Yeah.
I thought it was too. That's why I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I didn't move.
All right, that's basket. You're good. Oh, and the camera. Oh man, blooper for the day. Oh, that's funny. Hopefully, luckily just hit this part, I think.
Did it?
Hopefully. Well, if there's a camera guy there, it would save me from 3-putting. I would tap in 3 from right there. But here's what normally happens when there's no camera guy in the way, is you roll out here and have another death putt. So yeah, that's kind of what happens on this hole. If you miss a putt on the first one, you're probably going to be taking a bogey. That's why the drive is so important, to get it somewhere inside the circle where you have a nice, comfortable putt. You don't have to worry about rolling away. Because this green is tough, as you see. You miss anything, bounce out the basket, you're rolling, and it's probably going to be a 3-putt almost every time. All right, hole 12, 622. Par 4, we got a really tricky tee shot. You can go right side or you can go left side. I'm gonna take the left-hand forehand gap to kind of skip and try to get into the fairway. I'm gonna be going with a couple of my prototype felons. And like I said, just try to hit this left gap. A little bit of hyzer and gently skip to the middle. So just focus on the smooth hyzer release. Oh, that's a little bit too much. That's probably gonna be too right side to have an angle into for the next shot. So I'm gonna try to, this left gap's really where I'm trying to hit. There we go, that's way better. So that should skip, or just goes, that one skips straight kinda. I wanna kinda get a more of a left flare, and I wanna see it kinda flare up and to the right. There we go, that's better. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. That one was probably the best of the three. All right, so here's the sidearm. It skipped a little bit too far right for my liking, but I'm gonna practice it anyway, just because as you can see now, I got a tree directly in front of me, and then right behind that, I have a tree right behind that. So it's forcing me to throw a flex, and just a really tricky angle to hit if I wanna get down there for a birdie putt. So once again, I'm in position, I'm in the fairway, but out of position. Like I wouldn't be expecting to birdie from here. I'm trying to, but I'm, you know, par is more likely than a birdie from here. So as you see, it's hard to get the right angle. That's an easy par, you know, more than likely probably not a birdie though. Okay, so yeah, once again, like I said, this angle is so tricky from here. I want to be like 10 feet left, and I have a perfect angle into the basket. But once again, that's Nevin. You're off by 10 feet, and you're off by a mile. So not so bad after my kind of out of position drive. I still have about a circle 2 edge birdie look, which out here isn't bad. You know, you're pretty much guaranteeing you're going to get a par with a, you know, outside chance for a birdie, and that's definitely a chance for, chance to score out here. If you're getting a lot of long birdie putts, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Oh, unless you're flopping in and out like that. There we go. Third time's the charm. But yeah, as you see, you know, it's out of position drive is hard to really get inside the circle. You're just gonna have to scramble, try to grind out pars, maybe make a long putt here or there to get that stroke, that birdie that you want. Yeah, birdie streaks hard to come by. You know, it's gonna be the type of rounds if you're in the hunt or you're winning this event, it's gonna be birdie, par, par, birdie, par, par, birdie. You know, you're not gonna be stringing together 5-6 birdies in a row. It's just, you know, it's hard to do out here. All right, we got 13. We got a 630 par 4, goes straight and then bends hard right at the end. This is gonna require a pinpoint drive to get in the landing zone. Landing zone's probably only 10, 20 feet wide. And it's very specific landing zone. If you don't hit it, you have almost no angle into the green and you're just scrambling for a par. So let's see if I can hit the landing zone and show you guys the birdie zone. I'm gonna go with my red, which is the flippier of the two. The yellow's got that little bit more stability, but I wanna hold and just hold that right-hand turn the whole way. And I'm just gonna start on this left-hand side tree with a little bit of ante and glide right in front of it. And I wanna kind of be right in line with the camera guy, even a little bit right, hopefully. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Yeah, that's golden. That's absolutely perfect. Probably one of the better drives I've thrown on this hole. I'm gonna try, see how I just went just right of the camera guy by about 20 feet. That should be set up for a perfect angle down there. Try one more with this yellow guy. Okay, that one was a little bit too tight. Yeah, probably just gonna be, you know, as good as that looked, followed the fairway, turned a little bit. It's in the fairway, but out of position once again. So there's almost no birdie chance from there, just because of how many trees and how the lack of angle to the basket. So yeah, pretty much exactly like I expected. Here's my first one. I'm looking at just basically there's no way. If this was a tournament, I'd have to literally put my disc 50 feet into the landing zone where my first shot landed and try to scramble for a par. So that tells you the difference between my first one and my second one. Like I said, the first one is absolutely golden. Couldn't be any better. And so that's why drives out here are so important if you want to get birdies. And so let's throw a couple from here. Throw one backhand, one forehand. I'd probably just do like a nice smooth standstill from here because it's downhill, not very far, but it's more about just penetrating, hitting the line with something a little bit flippy since I'm throwing standstill. I'm not gonna be able to get as much speed on it. So I'm not gonna wanna throw too stable. Just throw my nice purple dagger with some hyzer and it should pop up a little bit. Yeah, that's 25 footer. Now let's try a forehand. Just because that's another shot I like to practice and keep in the arsenal. It's a nice flex forehand. It glides down there. Yeah, just like that. That might even be a little bit long, but still got through most of the fairway and have a 30-foot comeback putt. But as you can see, if I'm not in that tiny spot, if I'm 5 feet right, 5 feet left, these trees are all in my way and it makes it so much harder. So this hole is just all around tricky unless you're in that perfect landing zone. All right, looks like my backhand and my forehand are both, you know, pretty much tap in range. So what that means is just kind of whatever's feeling good. You know, I think that's the benefit of having a forehand and a backhand is if one or the other's feeling better for that day, then you have the luxury of, hey, I want to lean on my forehand today, or I want to lean on my backhand. And every day might be a little different, or every round might be that little bit different. So that's something that I have the luxury of you know, making sure that I have a game time decisions and knowing what shots are coming out of my hand the best for that day. All right, we got 14. We got the gauntlet hole. This hole is 406 foot, dead straight, and I'm talking dead straight. If you're off left or right, you're almost an automatic bogeyville. So it's playing about 440, 450 because of the uphill elevation. So we're having to throw drivers or fairway drivers. I'm just really trying to throw kind of a hyzer flip to flat and then glide down the gap is kind of my ideal. I'm gonna go with the Raptor iRive. Just kind of try to throw a pop-up shot with this. So just not quite enough flat on that, a little bit too hyzer. So let's see if I can make the adjustment on this one. A little better. Still hit a tree. I mean, it's down there. That one's an easy par. The first one's going to be a tough par. Let me try and explore, see if that don't do any good. There we go. Oh, that one's probably my best release out of all of them. I still hit a tree, but felt good out of the hand. Was a nice line drive. As you can see, going uphill like this, your disc's gonna be more stable. So as you saw, trying to throw a hyzer flip, you know, my disc just never really turned to that apex of like getting that nice turnover flat on this uphill hole. And that's simply because the gravity wants to take the disc left. And so all my disc missed to the left. Even though normally those discs pop up and turn, it's the gravity pushing them this way that makes them not want to turn. So I got lucky here to kind of have a gap. Because normally if you're on the sides of these fairways, you're not having no gap. So, but I have a gap here, so I'll try to blast a harp up there and get my par. Yeah, so that's a tap in par, which is after you know, a not great drive, par on this hole is great. All right, I'll put a couple from down here, just a long spin putt. What the heck? There we go. That might go in. Drop. Ooh. Yeah, a putt like this, when you got like a severe uphill putt, the biggest mistake I see people do is they don't putt it high enough. They just putt it like, you know, chain high, and then it's, you know, by the time it gets there, it's going to be below the basket. You know, if you're going this far uphill, you got to putt it way high above the basket, so that way by the time it gets there, it's chain high. At least giving yourself a chance. Like, see, I put it high, and then it's chain high when it gets to the basket. Yeah, I didn't make it because obviously I'm pretty far away, but you know, even the best putters, you know, you just got to give yourself that chain high bid to give yourself a chance to go in, you know. Whereas like when I see most amateurs, they just don't start the disc high enough out of their hand on uphill putts. This one's would be my par save from hitting a tree back there. So Once again, you're definitely able to scramble if you're in the right spot. If you're out of position, on this hole, there's really no scrambling. There's so many trees. You're just forced to chip out and take your medicine and get the bogey. But all right, hole 15, we got a 346 par 3. You got 2 gaps to choose from. You got the right-hand side, that's for the hyzer flip throwers. And the left-hand side is for the forehand and the backhand kind of turnover shots. So I'm gonna go with the left gap. I just feel like throwing a trust, kind of a flippy trust through this gap and kind of fading right. That's kind of the shot that fits my eye the most. Obviously I can throw, all 3 of the shots if I really wanted to. It's just whichever one I feel the highest percentage. So once again, starting my trust on this left-hand side tree, drifting back to the middle and hopefully flying through the airspace on the left side here. Yeah, that should be really good. Yep, that's exactly what I'm going for. That one went through the gap turn and, inside the circle up there. This one should have a very similar flight. Too much turn on that one. So got up there, that was not a good shot. Better result than the actual shot was. The first one was a clean release and hit the gap that I wanted. All right, so here's my shot, went like 25, 30 long. Got a circled edge comeback putt. All right, that's better. So those last 2 felt good. First one, I kind of just, like I said, used my fingers, didn't really get the arm swing and my wrist engaged with the timing and all that. So, and then my second one, not a great shot. It's closer than this first one, but it was just didn't feel good, didn't hit the gap, just got lucky. And I'm not one to judge my shots based on the result of them. I like to base, on how my swing felt and all that stuff, because results can definitely lie. And if I got a birdie and shanked the shot versus that first one was nice and pure, went a little bit long and it wasn't as close, but it flew through the high percentage gap all the way down here, whereas the other one had to miss 10 or 15 trees to get to where it did. All right, we got 16, we got 410 foot par 3 through a tight gauntlet tunnel, and this one is playing about 450, I would say, all of it. Once again, you're throwing uphill, so the distance on the tee pad isn't the distance that it plays in real life. So once again, gauntlet, if you hit any tree here, you're very high percentage you're getting a bogey. So hitting this gap is definitely crucial if you're wanting to score well and win this thing. So once again, we're going uphill, and just like 2 holes ago, the other gauntlet hole, everything's gonna wanna fade out a little bit left. And so that's what happened. That disc is normally flippy, but since I'm going up this tunnel and uphill, it wanted to hyzer a little bit more than it normally does. So I'm gonna take that in consideration, try to hit this gap again. There we go. That's better. So I hit the gap, faded back. That should probably be like a 40 footer, 30 footer and that's still short. So that just tells you how long it is. I threw a pretty good shot on that one and I'm still short. So, all right, so here's the one that hit the gap. Obviously still short left. So that, like I said, once again, that shows you how long this hole plays versus what it says on the tee pad. Here we go. That putt felt good. So yeah, 410 plays about 450, tight tunnel. And yeah, this hole is almost another bonus birdie. There's a lot of holes out here that it almost feels like you're gaining a stroke with a birdie, which on tour nowadays, if you're birdieing, you're just not losing a stroke. You're not necessarily gaining a stroke, but out here, you're gaining strokes if you're birdieing. And yeah, that's a great separator hole on that one, because if you're twoing, there's gonna be people that hit the gap and that don't hit the gap and get a bogey. So lots of separation coming down the stretch. All right, we got hole 17. We got a par 4 through a tight tunnel. I haven't found the tee sign yet, but I would say you're throwing about a 450 through the gap to a second shot, another 400 foot forehand or an ante turnover. Obviously this gap is pretty small, another off-centered gap, which is kind of the name of the game out here at Nevin. You want to kind of blast through the gap with hyzer, kind of finish left. If you go too straight, you pretty much have no angle into the green. So you want to hit this gap and fade pretty hard left. That's not the worst shot, but it's also probably not quite far. I mean, that's all right. That should be good, actually. It skipped pretty good. I want to go a little bit straighter before I start hyzering. That's better. I like that one a lot. That's gonna fade way left. Yeah, that's a great shot. So that should be in perfect spot. Should have about a 400-foot forehand onto a tight island green. So let's check it out. All right, here's my 450 drive. Like I said off the tee, it's funny, I was totally guessing. I said 450 to 400-foot upshot, and the hole's 850. I nailed it without even knowing. So that was fun. But yeah, we got a little bit of right to left crosswind. Obviously got OB on the left-hand side, so I'm really gonna wanna focus on throwing the hyzer, keeping on that hyzer angle, and keeping it towards the right-hand side. There's a lot more room right than there is left. So if I'm going 30, 40 feet right of this basket pin high, that's kind of a spot that I really wanna get to. So that's pretty much exactly where that shot's going. I really like that. That's gonna be circle's edge, you know, just right of the pin. Let's try one more here. Once again, that's right side. That's got a lot more room than there is left. So that should be another 30-footer, which is, on this hole, can be tricky. Here's my really good drive. So I'll throw one from here just in case in the tournament I happen to throw it completely perfect. I can know what this is gonna, how this shot feels. Getting feel for shots is important, especially on a spot like that. You throw a perfect drive, you wanna make sure to be able to capitalize. So that is good. Should be parked right there. Or hitting the bucket, that works too. I knew it was gonna be close, I didn't know that close. So there's the 450 and there's the 400 right there, doink. So as we walk up to the green, as you can see, the left-hand side OB here, and you can kind of see how much more room you have on this right-hand side. And obviously my first two were favoring the right-hand side and they're on circle's edge. So yeah, I played to the good side of the green, give myself a nice birdie putt without really risking too much out of bounds or anything like that. So it's good. There we go. Just using those couple, I just kind of got lazy on them. Using my fingers, really not giving it that pop. So that's something you just got to commit to, giving it that pop every time. Can't get lazy. And then there's the basket hit with the ride, baby. All right, we got hole 18. We got an 830-foot par 4 through a pretty tight gap, and you want to finish pretty straight. You want to go down the gap, finish a little straight, maybe a little right-hand turn. There is OB on the right-hand side, so you really don't want to turn too much, or if you're throwing forehand, you don't want to hyzer too much. So I'm going to go with the rive. I want to try to blast as far as I can. I want to get a lot of distance on this shot because it makes that second shot much easier, as it is 830, and you want to get a good tee shot to give yourself a good high percentage look for a bird. Okay, so that one was good. I flexed it. I just didn't hold to the right a little bit long enough, so it's gonna skip on the edge of the wood, so I probably won't be able to go attack the pin. This one I'm gonna go a little bit more to the right and hold that right-hand turn, hopefully a little longer, to get myself in the sweet spot of the fairway. There we go. That's gonna hold and hold and hold, and that should be good. Yeah, that's real good. So you can see the difference. The first one went further, but it hyzered out and got some ground skip and took me into the woods, whereas that second one was more of a compact, nice hyzer flip to turn to landing flat. And that's going to be the nice, the good sweet spot. I can attack the green from there. Bummer, I slid OB and went OB by 6 inches, so that's kind of something to keep in mind. I do want to go a little bit further left, but as you can see, it's hard to really get myself to go that much further left because there are a bunch of trees. So it tells you how tight between this OB and that tree line. When you're coming through this gap 500 feet, it's hard to keep your disc on that right angle that you want to land in the fairway. But I'm gonna throw a couple from back here, which is obviously where I want to land, and see what kind of distance we got. I feel like this upshot here to the green, we obviously have this Mando that's gonna definitely come into play. So you wanna make sure to go wide. I'm gonna go with a nice forehand. I would say this probably plays all of 420, 430, something like that. And yeah, try to crush one. Oh, crap. 4, watch out, 4. I'm trying to kill the DGPT, guys. So that one obviously turned a lot more than I wanted. So I'm gonna have to kind of cut this one and keep it a little tighter to the Mando, and that'll kind of give me a better line at the basket instead of pushing it wide. There we go, that's better. That should be a putt. Yeah, way better. So that one's probably about 20 or 30 feet short. Another one, obviously, similar shot, I just pulled it. And anytime you pull it like that, you're gonna get more distance because it's just kind of, you're hitting that power pocket a little bit differently, and it gets that little extra snap. See, this first one was a good shot. Just as you can see, it hides you in the bushes, and from there, there's nothing you can do from here. You're not reaching the pin from here. You got no run up. You got just trees everywhere. But if you're here, if I'm here, I can throw a shot from here definitely. So there's kind of a sweet spot here that I would definitely think is very possible to hit as a player. So we're definitely keeping that in mind. And I'm probably gonna throw one from there just to get a feel for it. Okay, so that's safe. Not exactly parked, but as you can see, this hole's tough. Yeah, that's good. That one just barely got over the wall. It should be about circle's edge. But yeah, I mean, this hole is a very hard hole to park if you're really trying to get the birdie. If you throw out of position, your next option is really just to lay up right here in this little bubble here and just pitch up for a 4. So it's all gonna be situational disc golf, which you'll see this weekend as people are trying to qualify the top 12 on Friday, that final round on Friday, that people get cut and they're trying to make that top 12. You'll see people laying up if they don't need to make strokes up, but if you do, you'll definitely be being aggressive and trying to get that extra stroke. But yeah, as you can see, this OB as I'm walking is very tight. So if you hyzer out, if you pull a shot, if you hyzer out too much, you're now having to throw a very tricky shot. Here's a drop zone, so essentially that's if you miss the Mando. But if you go OB, it's where you cross, and you're probably getting a automatic bogey, and people that lay up and get the par are gaining a stroke on you, and people that get aggressive and get that 3 are gaining 2 strokes on you. So yeah, a lot of strokes to be had if you're being aggressive and executing shots out here. Too much. Oh, I always like to practice my long putts, even if I don't make them all, just to kind of get that feel of how it feels to get that putt dialed in, get that release point dialed in. And I think that's the biggest thing about long putts is people are scared to miss. Don't be scared to miss. Learn something from each release. As you see, a lot of times you'll putt a bunch and you'll slowly get dialed in, get closer to making it. And then the more confidence you build, you may make 1 or 2 out of 10 from 80 feet, and that's a lot of that's a lot of strokes when you're starting to make 1 or 2 out of 10 instead of 0. That's a lot of strokes to be had in tournament play. So, all right, guys, that's the course out here at Nevin. Thanks for joining me. Super excited to attack it this week. Tournament starts Thursday. We got the Thursday and Friday rounds, and then hopefully I'm advancing into the Saturday and Sunday rounds. Hopefully you guys are supporting me. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks to Gatekeeper. Thanks to Dynamic Disc, and we'll see you next year.